What's up, you guys? Break and Change podcast. I got a special guest here, brother Keith Fingers,
Yeah.
aka Media Man. My boy does it all. First thing, we're just gonna have a conversation and inspire some people and give out some good content and just inspire some young people to do something and know that you can do anything, especially where we come from, which we'll talk about.
Yeah.
Can you kind of explain where you come from and how you get to do what you do now and what are you doing now?
Yeah. Well, I was born in Visalia and then I moved to Bakersfield when I was like 5 years old in kindergarten. I was bouncing around a lot in like Visalia as far as like living with my grandma. I was living with my dad's mom or my dad's grandma, and then eventually we.
So you was with your family. You guys were living with your grandma.
Yeah. So it was mostly like me and my mom and my dad, and then just their relationship made us move different. This stuff I only realized when I got older.
Yeah.
Like, them off and on again. Like
it's crazy because you think all that stuff is normal when you're young because you're going through that process.
Chilling.
Yeah.
So I moving different spots through Visalia, Tulare, and then eventually they kind of got their life in order, and then we moved out here to Bakersfield. When I was in like kindergarten, and we moved in with my grandma, and then from there, like we eventually got our own spot, and then I just grew up on the west side of Bakersfield. So.
Cool. So and then what about now? You was talking about so you were born in Visalia in California, and then moved to Bakersfield, which isn't that far from here.
Yeah.
And then you guys kind of stayed here, and then your parents started doing better and
Yeah.
And what do you do now? Like,
Yeah.
what do you do now that you're adult?
So basically, I went to film school. So I graduated in December of 2017, and ever since then, like I've been chasing this dream of like shooting feature-length movies. But during that course, I've kind of tried to fill that void with shooting anything from like little commercials or social media ads or skits or even now I record a podcast also. So that's
What's the name of your podcast again?
A Trucker's Mind podcast.
Trucker's Mind podcast, and you got that with Eddie, right?
Yeah, my boy Eddie. Yep. So we do that every week. Drop some every Monday. But yeah, so like I feel like we have a goal in mind, and then how we get there is not up to us. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
so,
it's about what happened in the middle of all that.
Mm-hmm.
So who are some people that you work with? Because I've seen some of your stuff. I've seen like you work with like current NBA players, former NBA players around that from Bakersfield.
Yeah.
And you got the Class Clowns, that group, they do all their media stuff.
Mm-hmm. So as some people I be forgetting. But so Created by Blue is a person that I work with, my boy Blue Pair.
Boy Blue? No, just playing.
I be like, yo, my boy Blue coming through, and then like I have to let him know like
the real Blue.
what is his government name is Blue, and then it's Blue Pair or Patrick Haynes, for people that really know him.
Yeah.
But he directs music videos, from pretty much all over the place. So, like we went to New York once. Some artists had flew us out there. We shot like 4 videos. But with him, we shot for Blast. We did. He just shot Dom Kennedy's music video. I helped out.
That's one of my favorite artists.
Yeah.
You remember what video it was?
It hasn't came out yet.
Okay, I thought it was like they got Bootleg Cable. He just came out with.
No. So it's a song called "Got It All" with Blast and Dom Kennedy. The video hasn't come out. The song is out, but the video's not out. We did a Mozzie and Blast song. Like I helped.
Oh yeah, I remember that one. Is that the one he did out here?
So the first one I didn't help with, and then there was another one that he did.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, that was everybody.
I just got on to him recently too. I know he just put out an album and stuff. And I seen him work with various people.
Yeah.
He from LA?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So
cool. Yeah.
We did that. That's just different. It's some other musicians I'm probably forgetting. Like One Take Jay, we did a video for him. We did a couple of videos for him. And then as far as players, like it never came out. I still need to finish it, but we were working on this documentary for like all the like professional local basketball players like Stephon Carter, Eric Smith, Jordan Burrs, Braxton Huggins, and then Tyron Wallace. So we have a lot of footage for it. We just need to like get some more interviews and stuff. But I film a lot of their workouts and stuff like that. I did Milan Aqua. He's from.
Have you worked with what's the guy name? Is it Braxton Higgins or something?
Braxton. Yeah, Braxton Huggins. Yeah.
Huggins,
Yeah, we went to school together.
You said you went to
Mexico State.
Oh yeah, that's right. Then transferred to Fresno State.
Yeah. So I met him walking around campus like I was just like, you know how it is when you see somebody from Bakersfield. Or you
it's like a new
else, it's like, yo, what's up, man? Yeah, so that's how we connected. And then athletes. So and then I'm also doing a documentary. And I'm recording that, like, just interviewing different comedians. I interviewed, I don't know if you know Boo Capone. He worked with All Def Digital.
Yep.
I did an interview with him. Slink Johnson.
Real one.
Yeah. So
that's dope.
Just be
So I was going to ask you. So I know that, like, this wasn't always something you wanted to do.
Yeah.
It kind of was something just me thinking, me knowing you, something that kind of came about and like. But one thing that's interesting that I made like a connection was that growing up, we went to the same elementary and all that stuff, and your mom was a photographer that did our school pictures. And that was like a link. Like you never know you was gonna be the person that had a camera in your hand too. That's crazy, huh?
Yeah, I never even thought about it. Like I always wanted, since I was a kid, I always wanted to be an architect, and I still do to a certain extent, but. Like this photography and like digital media is like consuming my life right now. Yeah. So
and it's big, man. Like digital anything, media anything is like social media literally controls the world right now. Yeah. Like anything that happens, and you hear it there first. Like it literally it's business, it's everything, social issues. It's crazy how that literally changed. And like when we was growing up. We didn't even have none of that. You feel me? I didn't even have a cell phone until I was like 16. And we just out in the streets playing football and all kind of random stuff.
You don't even.
And now kids, like you get like 11-year-old kids that can be millionaires. I was just talking about that with my cousin. I was like, all these YouTube kids, they making money. We didn't even have no ability to do that when we was kids. Like we was making lemonade stands and selling candy. You know me, I sell candy from 5th to senior year. You feel me?
Lou was a real hustler.
Yeah. And for real. But that was just like something being innovative, you know, coming from where we come from. And our parents not going to just give us money like, here you go. You have to find a way to get money. And that's the way you do it. But now these kids can literally like get on TikTok and become famous and start making money off their brand after who they are, being funny and da-da-da-da. And it's like literally a game changer as you see it.
Yeah. I don't even know if I would be built for that. Like, as a kid, I just wanted to play football.
But I don't think they think about it. I think like it's like their culture, like they grow up into it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like there's things that people did before we were here, and we look at them like, oh, how y'all do that? How y'all was dressed like that? And but that was their culture, and then we had our own culture and stuff. We like shows we used to watch and all the stuff we used to do. That was our culture, and then I always think too, because now I got a daughter, and I'll be thinking I'm like. My daughter can do half the stuff I used to do, like out in the streets. Like I used to literally be at 10 years old catching a bus all around the city, like to go to school or da-da-da-da. Like, but like imagine my 10-year-old daughter doing that, or even like just walking across the city on bikes, and we was really out here. You feel me? At the stores, all kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And now it's like the world is literally a different world.
Yeah.
So I was gonna ask you too. Who would you say inspire you? Like, who inspires you? Like, what do you ever think about that, or are you just like?
Yeah, I mean, as far as just life, like definitely my mom, like, cause that's. I mean, I grew up with my dad, but he was in and out. So it's like he wasn't as stable as my mom. Like my mom was like the rock, whether she working 2 jobs or just. Working through certain pains and ailments and stuff like that. Like she was one of the ones, I think, as far as like my work ethic, I got a lot from her because she rarely missed work. Like I could count on my fingers like the number of times I've seen her like just not go to work because she was sick or something like that. But definitely my mom. And then like as far as artistically, I think of guys like Gambino, A guy like Jay-Z, as far as his business acumen, like, you know, just doing different business ventures, owning his label and stuff like that. Definitely Nip. Nip was one of the people where it's like, he was on the verge of all those things. Like, he was on the verge of being a Jay-Z. And just the way, like, he was one of the people.
It's not to cut you off, but it's crazy to think, like, people like Nip and Jay. I would say more Nip, because Jay-Z, I feel like he did what he was supposed to do, but he's more like on his own with it. Nip was literally trying to change his community. Yeah. Like, literally, he was in his community, and that's probably why, obviously, Jay-Z probably didn't do it, because he didn't want to die, you know what I mean? But because people hate, you know, wherever you come from.
Yeah.
But he was literally in this community doing stuff that, and one of the things I'll think about, I'm not sure, because we know, you know, like, I think Nip had that like business mentality, because typically like people from like Africa or Middle East that have that, they already come here trying to build stores, have all kind of businesses. So he already was like, that was structured probably from his dad and But he also got a hold of the streets, you feel me?
Yeah.
And the streets was like, but he knew he had that mindset that was bigger. So he had the upbringing culture from his pops and all that stuff. And then he also had the streets, because his pops was probably working so much, and he probably was out there with his brother.
And where he grew, the place in which he grew up.
And it's different. You know, I feel like even me now, like on the business side, like I'm learning a lot of stuff that I never knew. Like just how to make money in general. Like, cause we always think like our path. My whole motivation for even going to college was first it was to try to go to the NFL, because you're going to do whatever your environment is. If you know people that go to the NFL, like Joey Porter was a big inspiration. That's why I'm a Steelers fan, right? Yeah. So I'm thinking I can make it. I'm a tall dude. Everybody will tell you play football, and all that stuff. So I used to believe that. That was my environment. And I'm sure you play football also, and that's what you used to think, like, because we see people make it out, but we never see people. We didn't see too many people that was business owners and doctors, lawyers, making real money, buying real estate, like, and that's kind of what Breaking Change is about. Like, we want to expose young adults and young kids, expose them to those things so they can learn to build equity in their community. They can start buying the neighborhoods they live in. People go around and they gangbang and they be like, oh, this is my hood and but they don't own nothing there. Or they own Section 8 and all this stuff. And I grew up on Section 8, so I can attest to that, because I know, being there. But our mindset was never to, like, we were supposed to work. You know, my mom always worked at Walmart or whatever, you know. It was never to own stuff. And now to see, like, someone like you, too, you building your own brand, doing your own things, you're probably, like, the only person I know and grew up with that does what you do. Yeah.
It's one of those things, like, you just want to be an outlier, like, and, you know, growing up how we did, and that's what we're taught. I remember I graduated, and I came back to Bakersfield, and my aunt, like, I went to church, and my aunt was like, well, got to get a job now. I'm like, that's not how we should be thinking of teaching our kids. But in my mind,
kicking them out when they turn 18. That's crazy.
Another one. Like, you have to start kicking your kids out. But I always knew in my mind, like, I want to be a business owner. So that was like, I obviously knew, like, you got to make a living. Like, you know, you got to pay the bills somehow. But it was always with the mindset, like, I'm going to be self-sufficient. And it didn't happen until this year. Like, I was working, like, my first job after I graduated was the Boys and Girls Club.
Yeah, that's where I work at now, actually.
Yeah. So I was
had on my Boys and Girls Club yesterday.
Yeah. So I was doing that, and it was cool, like, because you think you can affect the community. You think you can, you know, but you can a little bit.
A little bit, exactly.
Because so many people above you that make certain rules, and you can't do a lot. But, like, I was working there, and then from there I got a job doing the social media stuff for North Bakersfield Toyota. And then from there, like, it was a pretty good gig. I got paid like once a month, and technically I was an independent contractor.
Oh, okay.
So I wasn't on, I wasn't like an employee.
Yeah.
So that was like a step in the right direction.
Exactly.
And then after COVID hit, they laid off pretty much everybody.
Wow. And
then he was like, "Yo, I'm gonna bring you back whenever
things get better."
And he never brought me back.
That's tough.
So I was like, I'm gonna use this opportunity, and of course, getting like unemployment and stuff. Like, I was like, I'm gonna hit the ground running.
When 600 was hitting.
I
was wondering, like, so, like, during COVID, right? Speaking of which, when that happened, I still have my job. Thank God.
Yeah.
But when I was seeing all these people getting money, and I was like, man, I almost wish I wasn't working because I wanted like, because and the one thing, and we can talk about this too because this is big to me. But the one thing that like, kind of like I would say pissed me off or whatever, because I seen people that was getting money. Like I know somebody that literally had like 12 bands, like 12K, right, and just blew it all. I'm like, bro, you can do it 12K. You gotta invest that in something. Buy something that's gonna make you money. Like, make your money, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't know if you ever read the book Rich Dad Poor Dad.
Yeah. I listened to it.
Listen to it too. Yeah, I listened to it, and it's like that's a mindset. Like when I was reading it, or when I was listening to it, I was just thinking like that's the mindset that I have now, but I just need to some more structure and learn to go get it more.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I have that mindset already. So but so many people was blowing that money. Like
it was sad, man.
But and then another thing too. I don't think we ever looked at this like this, but you remember on Baby Boy? And then what's his name? Tyrese, he got inspired. Jody got inspired, and he was like everybody out here making money except for us.
Yeah.
And then he was like, what are you, a buyer or a seller? He said, I'm gonna be a seller. Yeah. You know what I mean? And like when I was a kid watching that, I was just watching it like, oh, okay, there's no doing that. But that's big, man. Like being a buyer or seller. Like, are you gonna go around and buy everything that's out here, or are you gonna go around and start selling and making money and making businesses? Yeah. And that way you don't gotta work for nobody. And that's what he couldn't get a job, or like that's what. Remember his homie. He was like, man, why can't you give me a job or whatever? It's crazy because so many people have that mentality. Yeah, they want you to put them on. I'm like, bro, you got to put yourself on.
That's crazy. Like, thinking about that, like, definitely, like, Rich Dad. I was already on that track, and Rich Dad, Poor Dad was a book to where, like, I already knew most of that stuff, but I hadn't heard it in a specific what was it, like 6-hour book or something. Yeah,
exactly.
Like
and they show them like as kids how they started all that.
Yeah, and the mindset that we have.
Having a dad, like having two dads, like one was like one was like a path I was going on, right?
Yeah.
His dad that would end up being a professor, and he had this mentality. It wasn't like make money. It was just like get a job and pay your bills type mentality. Yeah. And then the other guy's dad was like, you got to make money, and it's gonna be hard, and people ain't gonna like you, and And man, if we have more fathers that get their kids that mentality, that's what we want to be at Breaking Chains. Like we want to give those kids, young and young adults too, because not even kids, because young adults need to have. You don't know, 18, 19-year-olds that don't have the structure, don't know what they're doing. They might work at McDonald's, but we want to teach them that kind of mentality. And it's gonna be hard. It's harder to change.
It's a whole mindset.
Yeah, a mindset, and people don't understand the power of that. And that's what I talk about a lot with a lot of my content I make. It's like people don't understand like your mindset will change your life. Like your mind is a computer. You can do anything. When I figured out, I always had this mindset of like I'm gonna graduate. I'm gonna do this. Even though I was a bad kid, I was getting expelled and all that. But I always had the mindset of like I'm gonna keep on doing. Yeah. And then once I understood how to do it. Like as far as like I need to have discipline, I need to be patient, I need to learn how to control my emotions and the way I react to stuff. Nobody ever teaches that. Like when I get in trouble at school, I react to it. I cuss at a teacher, or I might, just be funny and need attention for the stuff we wasn't getting at home. And now it's like completely different. When you change your mind, you can literally do anything. I watch people become like millionaires and like doing stuff. You know what I mean? And we're doing it too. We're in the process of doing it. Because our mindset is different. Yeah,
I think even having that goal, like, just growing up where we grew up, it's just rare to even graduate high school. Exactly. Like we know some people that either passed before they graduated, or maybe went to the summer extent or adult school, whatever the case may be. But then even going to graduate in college, you know what I mean, and you transferring to different schools and me also like taking a break and going to a junior college and all these things, like, so if you can do that, like you could and all that took was like putting your mind
to it. Exactly.
Yeah, you could do pretty much anything, but it's all about a mind state.
And sometimes I wish like I would have put my mind in something else like that instead of going to college and getting in loan debt, because you need a college degree. Like I wouldn't be able to do my job, my passion as far as like coaching if I didn't have a degree, but like all that time I spent and discipline that I spent to do that, I could have been spending it on building my brand and my business or something. But during that time, one thing I would say, I wouldn't have the mindset during that time. Like, I'm grateful for my college experience.
Yeah.
'Cause I was able to see stuff and do stuff I never would have done.
Yeah.
And I didn't have that mind. I wouldn't, like, at 18, 19, I wouldn't have that
Yeah.
mindset. Cause
College definitely woke me up because, like, when obviously you going to school for like what 12, 13 years of your life.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Starting from kindergarten or pre-K or whatever, and then you go to school so long, you like, bro, I'm over this.
Yeah.
Yeah. But then like when I got to college and I took that same like lazy approach that I did my senior year into like freshman, sophomore years of college,
it was hard.
It showed up. Like I was failing classes and stuff like that, and then I had like a wake up call. And then part of it was like my environment. Like you going to junior college here in Bakersfield in your hometown, like you hanging out and
Environment.
yeah.
Huge.
And then when I went to Iowa State, it was like just straight focus. Like,
Yeah.
like laser focus.
I remember when you told me you going to Iowa, bro?
You gave me up,
Yeah,
because
yeah.
when I went out there, I didn't know nothing. Like, and that's part of growing up in the community we grew up in. You don't even you don't know what an SAT is. Like, you don't know what applying for college is before the deadlines and sitting
all that.
I
Financial aid.
Yeah, I didn't even know how I was gonna pay for it. And then you was telling me like, yo, like, do you know how you? And I'm like, well, I got financial aid, like, not knowing that
I'm
it's
gonna
way
take out
more
this
expensive. Yeah, and then like loans even like, my mom can't co-sign for no loan. Like, she ain't got credit
my mom
like
can.
that.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so
And that's the one thing. I was reckless with my loans, boy.
Yeah.
I was taking out. I was reckless in grad school, honestly.
Uh-huh.
Like, I could have bought a house or something with the money I was getting. Like,
Yeah.
I could have put a down payment on, not even thinking I'm paying rent. Like,
Yeah.
and I'm not, you know.
Dang.
And I really realized this after the fact, where
Yeah.
I got a lot of student loan debt. But like, just thinking about that, that's how I was like, I learned all that. I remember when I first started college. I was 17 at the time.
Mm-hmm.
I turned 18 in September, but
Yeah.
I didn't even have a bank account because I didn't have an ID or nothing. So I just started college. I had my financial aid check in my shoebox.
Couldn't even do nothing.
All the
with it.
money. I just had money on me.
Oh, you just had cash.
I just had the money, and I had a lot of money because I was grew up poor, so that give you a lot of
they
stuff,
give you
and I had the
everything.
loans too.
Yeah.
So like, but eventually I got a bank account. But like, I just careless. I had no kind of financial understanding of
literacy,
anything.
yeah.
Only thing I knew is how to pay bills because I watched my mom do it. I knew how to grocery shop. That's one of the things that I get complimented on. Like,
Budgeting
yeah,
for
I know how to budget and stuff because
Yeah.
I know what it's like to be poor.
Yeah.
So like, for instance, with my wife, if she goes out and like buys something, it's a little different from me because I understand like the value of stuff. Like, oh, I can eat this. This is how I survive. You know what I mean? And she grew up a little bit different. She grew up not big financial. Like, her parents didn't make a lot of money, but she also had both parents in the house to where they had some kind of
Add it
structure.
up.
Mine was like a little different completely. Like, my mom worked at Walmart, and that was it. And we had welfare. You feel
Yeah.
me? So I knew like this is when I go shopping. This is what I'm doing. And da 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 da.
That's
And
how me and my girl is. Like, she grew up. She went to Independence, so that's a whole different ballgame.
yeah. Oh, that's like
Yeah.
and even outside of town. Yeah, that's crazy.
But just how, like you said, like just the differences in like the way you shop. Something as simple as that, like, would be totally different. Like me, I'm getting the basics, bread and some peanut butter and jelly, or just something to hold you over. But she buying like vegan this and
But
name brand this and stuff.
but the crazy thing, all that stuff we buy that's cheap, that stuff is killing
It's
us.
killing you, yeah, that's true.
And that's why I'm diabetic now. Like,
Really?
And and I've been diabetic since 2015.
Uh-huh.
But now I'm more conscious of like what I eat and the stuff I do, like as far as like my gut health or like just anything. Like, I try to eat. Before I wouldn't eat no vegetables at all, but now I'm like trying to do it because I know, and I'm kind of feel like I'm getting a taste for them now because of like
That's
my mental. My spirit is like calling, like, all right, you need to eat this and that. Now that you know what it is and what it does for you, like, you need to do that. But when I was unconscious of it, then I was like eating anything, McDonald's and all this stuff, and like, not even when you're a kid, you don't even realize how it makes you feel because you just eat it and you go about your day drinking sodas and Fantas and all kinds of stuff. Yeah, and then now as we get older, like when I eat McDonald's, I feel terrible. When I feel Jack in the Box, I'm like, feel like, but we'll still eat it sometimes. There's fire in the mouth. You feel like you're literally putting nothing in your body and telling your stomach to process it. It's sad.
It's crazy, man. Just like, it's so much that we don't know, and that's been my journey. I'm like, I want to know everything. Like, why are we conditioned to not buy property? Why are we conditioned to eat this terrible food, like greasy food.
Yeah.
Like I had bought my mom a air fryer, and you know she 50.
I got one of those too. The fire.
Yeah. She 50 years old now.
Yeah.
So like she been conditioned her whole life to always fried foods. But I'm like, yo, we got to change that because we just putting like this nonsense in our bodies. And you know she's older now, so I'm like, yo, I'm trying to extend your life as long as we can. But yeah, that's the thing. Like we got to change our mindsets, and then we also need to know why this is the way it is. Like, why is it McDonald's?
It's systematic, man. Mm-hmm. It's systematic. Like literally, like it's sad, but we could talk about it though, because this is what people need to hear. Like people, when we talk about things are done to us, like to like ruin us. People think we just like not. I wouldn't say joking, but they think we just complaining or we just. I'm like, it's literally set up to where like we're always gonna be dependent on somebody. Or we're never going to buy nothing. We're going to eat stuff that's going to kill us. Like there's has to be a specific reason why Hispanic and Black people are the highest with diabetes and high blood pressure. Yeah. And it's not. And a lot of it is diet, obviously, and stresses of life and all that stuff that you're not supposed to go through. I did a video. One of the first videos I did, it was called "Using Your Superpower," and it was basically your superpower is your basically like your mind, your spirit, your inner coach. It's what you hear like in your head, and when you grow up in a certain environment, your inner coach is that environment. Yeah. So like whatever it tells you, like you get kids that make decisions and they want to go out and do whatever, and like in their head they know something wrong, but they'll go on, but you gonna get this and that without them saying it out loud. That's your inner coach is telling you that, right? Yeah. And now what I was teaching is like, if you train your inner coach to be positive and to do the things like you can do this, you will do this, that. Just keep doing this. Wait for that. Be patient. How you going to react to this? Listen to what they're saying, and you can literally talk to yourself without saying anything. Yeah. Right. And once you use that, it's literally a superpower. Yeah. That's literally you're like immortal if you use that. Like you can. It's like a power to gain the stuff that you want or make the impact that you want to do. And the best way for you to do that. When you're doing it is by being consistent. You know, we both know that when you're consistent with anything, it takes patience, but when you're consistent with anything, it's going to work out. Yeah. You know what I mean? It's going to work out if you believe in it. It starts off with a belief. Yeah. It starts off with the idea or the thought, and then it's the belief, and then it's the action to it, and then the consistency. We can say we're doing a podcast and but if I only do it one time and in 3 months, people gonna notice. I'm not building a brand. Yeah. You feel me? Yeah. But if like what y'all do on Trucker's Mind, y'all do it every week, and y'all been doing it. What episode y'all on now?
151.
Yeah. That's like straight Sundays, like, and that's consistency. Like that's. But it's working out. I'm pretty sure like y'all following a lot better. People know about it and all that.
Coming up to us like, hey man,
that's dope.
Podcast doing good. Yeah,
that's dope.
And literally just obviously you have to have a certain talent level or be able to speak a little bit. But other than that, it's just like doing it every single week, just consistently.
Even when you don't want to, or you out of town, or
we might have to record like a day early because I'm going somewhere. But it's always going to drop on Monday regardless. So.
Going back to like the mindset thing, man, that changes everybody. And I want people to take from this video is that the way our mindset, like we all went through everything. Like we both grew up poor, and we didn't have the best, I guess, like household where it was like we had people feeding us the stuff that we need. Yeah. But everybody has the capacity to change. Yeah. You don't have to be your environment. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, but my dad as well as yours, like my dad grew up gang banging. You know what I mean? And I don't know, you know, I always say like it was only God because the norm is to just follow or replicate that pattern. But for me, like, I don't know, I always just felt like I just wanted to be on a straight and narrow to the point to where like I never really even cussed like that. Yeah. Like, that's something that people, you know, you only notice if you hear me talk. Yeah. Like I rarely be cussing, but I always was like obviously you hang out with certain people, but I was always kind of like the good grades and stuff like that. But that's why I just be like, I don't really know exactly why, but we not supposed to be here. In reality.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
That's funny. I always noticed that too. And it's funny because me consciously when I was younger or even like as a old, like 19, 20, I never looked at myself like that. Cause I always cuss and say the N-word and all that. But I never was like, I don't know. I never looked at it as, but people would think me as like a straight edge person because I wasn't a person that like smoked, drink, didn't like, they would look at me like, I don't know, like good, like, like blue's good, or you, like they look at me as innocent.
Yeah.
But I never see myself as that. I see myself as like, I'm from the hood. I knew I wasn't game banging, but I knew like, if something go down, like, you feel me, I'm gonna be with it, like, you feel me, or like, that's where I come from, and that's how I always felt. But I also knew the path I was going. Like you said, like when you was talking about God, like I felt like or what I was talking about earlier, like the inner coach or anything, like your spirit. That's what led me early on to be conscious in my decisions. Like if I didn't have that, I would have did anything. I always wonder, like, why didn't I become a gang man? Like, why didn't we become gang members? We know all the people that was from it. We knew, but some people are like conscious dead. Like
so even with that, like there are some people that grew up better than we did.
Exactly.
In better environments, maybe have mom and dad at home consistently, and they still out thugging and doing. So it's just like,
why do you think that?
I don't know. I feel like honestly, and you get this from even some of the hardest gang bangers. Like I talked to this guy, G.I. Joe. He's with the Nip Camp. Like
I know Big U.
OMG, it's a song that they got together on that mailbox money thing. But so we interviewed him, and he rolling 60. Rolling 60s. And the thing that he said, he was like, I just started doing it because I was around it. He was like, it's everywhere when you walk outside. He's like, I got both parents at home, everything pretty good. And I heard this same story from, like, I'm telling
Casanova was talking about that too. You ever watch his, like, he was talking about how they just live in an 8-bedroom house in New York.
Nah.
Yeah, and he just robbed people. His mom would get him anything. Jordans, I just watched this the other day. Jordans and all that, and he was like, I just had to rob people. I want to take what they had.
It don't. So, and even with that, like, I'm working on this documentary for the group Second to None, and they grew up in Compton. And Compton is rough, but it's like people live in cribs and like you can live in a house.
Nice house, they got like country area and Compton. People don't know. People are riding their horses and stuff in Compton too. Compton kind of big.
Yeah. So with them, in the group that I'm talking about, Second to None, they Bloods. Yeah. And they grew up.
They from Treetop?
No.
Oh, okay. That's where DJ Quick from.
Yeah, they from Elm Street.
Okay.
Yeah. So they but with them, like, they had a nice upbringing, but for whatever reason, to me, I always think about it as like a fraternity. Yeah. Like I feel like
it's a brotherhood.
Yeah.
It's a brotherhood, but they just do bad stuff.
Like, and for me, I felt like the reason why I never really it wasn't even interesting to me was because I've always been like a person that didn't mind solitude. Like I don't
being
mind,
by yourself.
Yeah, I don't mind, and I don't mind like standing to the side. Like I don't mind wearing. You don't gotta clothes. Yeah. So I was always doing my own thing, so I never needed that. But there's some people that need that. They need to be in a group of people. They need to feel like they're a part of something. Like me, I was always just I was always myself.
I feel like I needed that because I grew up where my mom was always at work and my dad's in prison for life. So I was always sociable and I always wanted to be a part of something. So it was a period in time where I was in 6th grade and I felt like I wasn't really gang banging, but I used to act like I was gang banging.
Yeah.
So my brother, my sister, my brother-in-law and my sister is all Crips, West Side Crips. So when I used to carry I used to go to the fair. I used to carry black rag on me. I used to have a knife on me. I have Emerson. All that I'm a kid just doing because I remember Crip walking in the living room. All that really this is where I'm from. And that's what I was thinking. And then but how I got away from it was because I knew. I always just think I didn't want to get jumped in. I never wanted to get jumped.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's how I used to think. I'm that's probably the biggest one. Ain't nobody finna jump on me. You feel me? Yeah. And what was another thing? And then I ended up finding it in sports when I went to boxing, the PAL and all that. Mm-hmm. And once I started finding it in sports, I kind of got that community of brothers of people like I can be around, and we don't realize all the leadership skills and the commitment skills that we learn when we're doing football and all this stuff. And that's kind of what we got. But you get people that gangbang and they in sports.
It doesn't. What I found out with like, so I was working. I told you about the movie that I'm working on, called The Field, right? So like through that, like I've been just kind of exploring people, and primarily like my cousins and my friends and people that I grew up playing sports with, and that was like the theme. It was like, it really is. It's not really your environment. It's really a decision. Yeah, and that's what it all like. What I writing this film. That's what I discovered, because we know, like, people that is, like I said before, that are more privileged than us in certain things, and it really just boils down, like you said, that inner voice, like telling you whether I should go hang out over here. 'Cause even in Bakersfield, we know people that are technically not from the east side or the west side, but they from the east side.
Yeah, we're like, bro, you went to McKinley with us, bro. How you from?
yeah. Or you grew up in the Southwest, but somehow you found your way. Yeah. And we know that the gangs is primarily on the,
You ever heard of the story? It was this white kid from, like, I don't want to say Beverly Hills. He from 90s, neighborhood 90s. Yeah. He went out and just did all that stuff. But when it came down to it, when they got caught up, he was like, go. It was like 6'9".
And the thing, like, he had a suit on and everything, lost his accent. Yeah. But that's the majority of people. It's crazy that story sounds. That's how a lot of those people.
That happens everywhere.
Yeah.
It's funny because I'm trying to do an interview like this with my dad.
Yeah.
I'm gonna do it, but because my dad has a different thoughts about it, like how, because my dad, I don't really know. I kind of know, but when I interview him, I'm gonna get more specific to where he can tell me. But he had both parents, and my grandpa used to have money, but I think he neglected them a little bit.
Yeah.
But my grandpa always had money, always had cars and all kind of stuff. But somehow my dad ended up being from the East Side Crip, and ended up going to jail for life for a crime he didn't do, but something he was affiliated with through being part of a gang and not wanting to snitch and and I always, and when I tell him about, like, when I be like telling him about, like, I don't understand why these people be doing this and that. And then my dad, like, has a different aspect of it. Like, oh, look, one time he was telling me, like, he be raising dudes in prison. Like, my dad been in prison since 1991, and Christmas, like around Christmas, he got locked up and never got out. Before I was born, my mom was like 2 weeks, and but he was telling me, like, it's people I know that I grew up with, and they in there for life now, or went in there, and they know my dad, and he had to raise them. Like, when they in there as adults. They go in there 18, 19, and they still wild kids. Yeah. My dad said he got to raise them as an OG. Like, you got to show them, like, this is how I go here, Yeah. I'm like, it's crazy. I don't even get that from my dad. But it's crazy that he got to do that. But he has a different mentality. And then I always wonder, like, my fault. I always wonder, like, how I would have been. I don't think it would have changed my consciousness. Yeah. It would have changed my environment, but my consciousness was there. That's God-given, I think.
Yeah, that's
why you said it's like, it's a decision. But some people don't have... Some people don't have that mindset. Like, they don't have that. I don't know what I can't tell you, because we both don't have that mindset. But I'm trying to put myself.
I can't figure it out yet.
How you just end up, or even like we were just talking about this with my cousin. Like, how did you end up doing crack?
Yeah.
I know it was a thing. Like, everybody was doing it, and they said they used to. I forgot who I was watching. Maybe I talked to somebody, but they said they used to try. Oh, it was one of the Mike Tyson interviews. He said they used to try everything. Oh, what's this? What's this? Like, let's do it. Oh, let's see how high it get us.
I know people, and there's a mindset like that. There's some people like that would try anything, and that's probably what got me to where I am now. Because even if you see, like, certain foods or something, you just like, nah, I'm good. Like, I'm not really. But
Keith always been there. I know I'm good. I used to always try to, like, when I started drinking at one point, like, or we go to a hookah bar or something. I'm good, but we still be there though. Like,
yeah. I mean, it's a way to have fun without doing everything. But that's always been my mindset. Like, I'm like, there's this little bit of stuff that I'll try, and then all this other stuff, like, I'm straight. But I don't know. Like, maybe some psychologists can like figure it out, or like point us in the direction as to why that's the case.
Why that happens?
Yeah, I don't
Oh,
know.
that makes some. If it's a psychologist, it's got to be a black one if they doing it.
Yeah, it's a different.
Yeah, because it's different. They'll make up some stuff. Like, well, they're just it's because they're not all the way human. Or they used to make up all kind of stuff to like
Yeah.
put us back.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? And why
Yeah.
that's what we was talking about. Why things are done. There's a lot of stuff
It's
that.
a lot of theories. Too.
But it's overcoming. But a lot of it, if we not to just blame it on somebody else though, a lot of it is us.
Yeah.
It's us.
Yeah.
Like there's things we have a lot of people that they have the victim mentality.
Mm-hmm.
Like, oh, I'm not this because of this person, or I'm not this because of that. The teacher don't like me because of this.
Yeah.
And in some cases that's true, but most cases like no, bro, you're just a badass kid.
Yeah.
You don't got no structure, and the teacher don't know how to deal with it. And I was that kid.
Yeah.
And they were
I
like,
mean,
oh no,
you
it's the
would
teacher.
say that a lot.
Yeah.
You'd be like, this teacher don't
Yeah.
like me, this coach don't
Yeah,
like me.
and I started to realize like they just didn't know how to deal with me. Like some of them were wrong, but like some of them they just didn't know how to deal with me, and I didn't understand how my personality or whatever I was doing, my attitude
Yeah.
was. I didn't understand how bad it was until I started to understand it, and then once that's one thing I always talk about too. Once I got the consciousness of building relationships and listening to my teachers and coaches, I grew as a person.
Yeah.
I
Those,
stopped
like,
getting in
leaps
trouble.
and
My
bounds.
grades went completely
Yeah.
up. Like that's when I started to take accountability for myself.
Yeah.
Like whatever I do, it's like this. It's like what they call it, like well, I guess like a law of attraction, but or like a yin yang, good and bad. But whatever you put out, if you start doing good, it's gonna start coming back to you. If you do good things, like all the stuff that we're working on, it's gonna come back to us. Like people are gonna notice what we're doing, and people are gonna see it and they want to work with us, and we're gonna build things from that.
Yeah.
Right. But if we was in the streets doing nothing and doing drugs and being bad influences, that's gonna come back. We're gonna end up in jail or dead.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It's that you're inviting that environment. Yeah. And I think that's part of like why my mom and my dad kind of was always at odds, because my dad was influenced by the world.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? He didn't have that laser focus that you or me
Yeah.
have. You know?
Your mom was more grounded. You know, she would go
Yeah.
to church and
Yeah.
work and
Yeah.
build a family structure. She was kind of
Yeah.
mature,
was-
and you know, and that's a lot of like just the black males, the way we grew up.
Yeah.
I don't know if you ever heard of Kwanzaa Kunjufu.
Uh-uh.
You should watch it. It's interesting. I was studying them when I was in grad school.
Yeah.
But he talks about how black women or black women, I think, they raise their daughters. But they baby their sons. So they protect their sons, but they don't raise their sons.
Yeah.
Like, I remember my mom used to do this too. Like, my son ain't doing this. I would get in trouble, and it would be like I wasn't at fault for it. So I used to
Yeah.
believe that, and my mom didn't tell me like, don't do this and make sure you do this and that. But they said when it comes to their daughters, they'll raise their daughters. Like show them how to grow, show them how to fold clothes, teach them how to cook.
Yeah.
All this stuff, they're raising their daughters so they become more grounded. Some women don't, but the ones that do, that happens more in our black community.
Yeah.
That they'll raise their daughter, but the man will just be out to fend for herself because of that disconnect. Because the dad is supposed to be there and
Yeah.
teaching them right and make that complete family. And that's how like structurally, like we talk about why things happen the way they happen. A lot of it was because the breaking up the black home.
Yeah.
Breaking up at a young age. And you know who's raising the kids now? It was the teachers. And then when the teachers don't believe in you and have the structure or capacity to teach you, then you just become... And then another thing, I'll put it on my Instagram too. They said black kids are the smartest kids until they're 9 years old.
Dang.
Smartest kids out of anywhere, highest test scores, all that.
Yeah.
And then once they're 9, when the influence kicks in,
Yeah.
and then they stop learning and pay attention, they get influenced by the world and their environment.
Yeah.
And
Because you're just a curious kid, like
Exactly.
from kindergarten, like every kid, like everybody. I remember I would be in 3rd grade, like putting together like super long division and just doing my own problems. But like you said, like once during that time frame, like that curiosity or whatever, like you just kind of stray away from your purpose.
Yeah.
It's wild, man. I think like what I see, and I see it like with. Because, like I said, I was at the Boys and Girls Club. And obviously these kids is like 11, 12 years old. But you see that, like, it be people that look like us that be super talented.
Yes.
But it's like they don't have, even though it was this kid, I don't want to say his name, but there was a super smart kid. And he came from a single, like I don't even think he knew who his dad was, but he was probably the smartest kid in the school. But I'm like, yo, that's where we come from. Like we just have to, and even if you think like some people you probably play sports with, like for me, I was always a smart kid, so I was able to get the playbook and stuff like that. But there was some people that had like something different, where it was like they don't really study, but they just knew, like they knew the plays right off the bat. They knew certain situations. They had like real instincts. I'm like, yo. Or there was even people that I knew that was terrible at math, but they can count the dice super fast. Like, oh, that's 7, that's 8, that's like fast. And I'm like, dang, I have to sit there and like, you know, piece it together before then. But they already know if it's a 4 and a 3 here, it's a 7. They don't even like, it's automatic. It's instant. So I'm like, yo, if you applied that to your timetables or your math, like you would get straight A's.
And they don't even.
It's just the way we apply our skills, you know, or and even like businesses. Like if you selling drugs, you running a business.
That's what Freeway Rick Ross was talking about.
Yeah.
He applied all that stuff now to his life. Now he's in the cannabis industry. But he was running a business and he was structuring, setting up stuff and doing count money and those are stuff we can apply to. So we learn them. We just learn them in a different way.
Yeah.
We learn them in the wrong way because of survival. Because eventually you'll learn how to survive if you've been broke. But it depends on if you want to stay broke or not. Yeah. And then another thing they talked about was what was it? It was like, parents, when your kid becomes like a preteen, they believe that that's when you leave them on their own more. They're independent. No, you don't leave them independent. That's when they're more influenced. When you're a teen, think about that's your identity stage. So that's when you need to be on them more about structure and how to make great decisions. Yeah. Not in the point when they're really learning their identity. They're gonna be influenced by the people around them.
And everything.
Yeah, and that's when parents look like, oh, he's 13, he's a big boy now, or she can do whatever she wants. They're big now. I'm gonna spend less. I'm gonna focus on my little boy. And that's why they're the smartest kids from 1 to 9. Yeah. And then when they hit that preteen, they leave them on their own and they can do whatever they want. And kids are going out to parties and they're being influenced. And think about when we was in high school, all the stuff we could have been influenced by.
Just doing I think like even like you said, it was similar. Like even the way I grew up, but I kind of like took my career into my own hands or my education into my own hands at a certain point. But like if I was like, obviously you get in trouble if you get bad grades or something like that, but like when in junior high the report cards and stuff start coming home and the teachers start communicating with your parents a little less frequently than they would when it was in elementary and stuff like that. So I think for me, like if I, like you said, if I would have been able, or if I would have just slacked off a little bit, I probably could have finagled my way out of it. Like, the teacher tripping, or you know what I mean?
Exactly.
But that you needed even more so, because there was points where I did slack off in like high school and junior high, where like if my mom had just said something, or just
but she wasn't on you.
Or just been involved. Yeah, like I remember my parents didn't even like go to like the parent teacher conferences. They never showed up to those things. And
my mom didn't. Not to cut you off. This is what I'm thinking about. My mom did when I got suspended. My mom didn't even come up to the school. Really? This is what she used to do, because I used to live on 4th Street. Yeah. Right down the street. My mom would stand outside in the front yard, and then what's her name? Remember the older black lady that used to work in like the dean's office? I forgot her name. I forgot her name. Anyways, but anyway, she used to walk me out to the front of McKinley, and she would see my mom standing out there, and I would walk down by myself. My mom would not come over to the school.
That's the crazy part. Like you just like.
Miss Crawford? No, Miss I forgot her name. But I could see her face right now.
Yeah, but that's how it be. Like, I feel like obviously our parents got their own lives, so watching us and making sure we do our homework and stuff it's a full-time job. On top of the fact they already working 8 hours or however long their day is. But I just remember a certain point where, like you said, like it just became less and less involved. Like I had football games. My mom might drop me off. Yeah,
that's crazy.
Pick me up afterwards.
But you get some parents, they'll be at the game faithfully.
That's one thing.
I didn't never got that either. So I feel you, bro.
Yeah. But that's
my mom told me she crushed my heart one day. My mom crushed my heart. She said, "You don't even play." She said, "You don't even play." At this time, I was starting too. She was like, I was like, "You don't even come to my games." I was like, whining to her. She was like, "You don't even be playing." And I was like, what? She crushed my heart. I remember
that. But that goes a long way though. Like imagine if your mom like just showed up every and how like inspired you would have been to play, or how or even like if my dad would have like played catch with me on the weekends or something like that, or just ran routes or something like that. Like how long, or like how much further that would have
been inspired you.
But that's the thing, like, they call like reparenting.
Yeah.
Like I definitely, like when I have kids, I definitely want to make sure I'm there consistently, just involved.
Yeah, that's how I am now with my daughter.
Yeah.
And I'm like super protective. Anything I can't like. I don't know. I'm super protective over her. I don't know why. Yeah. I don't let her I really don't like her spend the night at nobody's house. I don't like, even if it's my family. I just don't. I don't want her to get hurt in any kind of way.
Yeah.
So I just be like real weary about a lot of stuff.
The crazy part is like, this is kind of a tangent, but
yeah.
I was so we have this office here, and one of the I don't know, I guess a cleaning lady. Yeah. She actually used to work at McKinley, and my grandma was working at McKinley.
Yeah.
She worked in the IMC, so I would see her a couple times, and I'm like, that face looked too familiar, and we, that was a huge part of our growing experience.
Yeah, so exactly. We remember them faces.
Yeah. And I was like, hey, did you used to work at McKinley? And she was like, yeah. And I was like, yeah, my grandma was, Linda Stevenson and stuff like that. And she was like, oh my gosh. And
that's crazy. They don't remember us though.
Yeah. She remembered my face. She was like, you did look familiar. Because obviously you get
grown,
you get facial hair and stuff, but you still like kind of look similar. And she was like, yeah, I remember you. So like every time I see her, she don't work here no more, but every time I see her, she was
doing you said cleaning.
She was vacuuming and
And she used to do that at McKinley?
No, she used to work in the office. I think she was one of the first people, cause it was a heavier set lady. And
that's what I'm thinking of.
She was actually working here too. Like I would see her on set.
So a heavier set lady is who I was telling you that would walk me out.
Black lady?
Okay. I don't know her name, but she used to walk me out.
It wasn't a black lady though.
Oh,
no,
I don't know.
A white lady. She had
white lady in the front office.
Okay,
hair. Yeah, like red hair or something.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, I remember the two that was in front. It was a skinnier lady and an older big lady. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and then so how they have the two front office. When you go back to the dean's portion,
it
was a black lady that always be right there. I don't remember her name though. And then I remember Miss, and then back there we had a bunch of different vice principals and stuff.
Miss Bede.
Miss Bede, and then it was Miss McCoy. Miss McCoy was hecking me. She hated me.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then Mr. Roberson. I wonder if she's still alive. I know he owned a store up there.
He had the spot over there. But it'd be funny, as much as we think these teachers don't be remembering us, if you had any significance in their life, they'll definitely.
I still, it's funny. I still talk recently. Recently, I needed references or whatever, and I got some of these teachers on Facebook and stuff, and I hit them up. Mm-hmm. I hit up Coach Anderson. And he's like, absolutely, I'll help you. And then I hit up Miss Bell also. She was like, absolutely, Because I remember during the time I was in her class, I was in basic classes or whatever. And I ended up getting out of her class and going to college prep and stuff.
The funny part about that,
she
elevated too.
Yeah, exactly.
Vice principal
now. Exactly. And same thing with Mr. Coach Anderson.
Yeah,
he's the dean.
Yeah. This is a short time frame. So
exactly.
Yeah, that's dope.
And so those teachers be remember. Remember we went to Mr. Cole's office and stuff. And
he
didn't remember me for a minute though. I was like, and then he was like, oh.
He had. I think I seen him. He was actually downstairs. It was his birthday, and his family took him out to dinner or something like that. And he had asked about you again.
Oh, for us, cool.
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah,
that's what's up. So we'll wrap up, but I'll ask you one last question. Mm-hmm. I guess when everything's said and done, what do you want to be remembered for? What kind of impact do you want to make?
The biggest thing for me is to make a cultural impact. Any and everything I do, whether it's whatever type of art, in the movie that I spoke about, the theme in that is about growing up from where we grew up from and making a great decision. You know, whether that a decision that could lead you to a better life and get you out of poverty, get you out of the hood, those kind of things. So I just want all the art, all the the dialogue that I have with, you know, people like
Mhm.
you. I just wanted to come off as like,
Be something, mean something.
yeah, as a little kid that went to McKinley and he hears that he come across whatever on social media, on YouTube or whatever, or watch my film, and he could be like, yo, like, I don't have to be a gangbanger. I don't have to, you know, go this, I don't have to
Yeah.
go left. Like, there's always a decision, and it might be difficult, it might not be the cool thing to do, but if I make this right decision, you know, I can live a better, a healthier life. So that's my thing. Like, I just want to show people that look like me that they can do good out here.
Exactly. That's real. Oh, I forgot. I'll show you later. I'll show you after this. But thank you for coming on
Yes, sir,
and,
man.
and doing this
It's
for
all-
me. You feel me?
it's all love.
And I got a gift for you, and we'll do that after. Basically.
Okay.
But yeah, thanks, man.